Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. It looks like infighting among the Democrats, specifically liberal unrest from the liberal Democrats, could potentially doom the bipartisan infrastructure talks. Welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. Let's start with this headline on your screen from Politico. Liberal unrest threatens to doom bipartisan infrastructure talks. Democrats are leery that continuing to talk with the Republicans will derail the rest of the Biden agenda, enhancing public education, paid leave policies, and fighting global warming. In fact, it's quite likely that the Democrats could lose either the House or the Senate, or potentially both, during the 2022 midterm elections, and therefore the window of opportunity for Democrats actually might be closing. In fact, a lot of people are starting to put pressure on the Biden administration. Here's an interesting quote from Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat from Massachusetts. I can't support any infrastructure package that does not include childcare, clean energy, and requiring the rich and powerful to pay a fair share to get this done. It has to be one deal and not two deals. You can start to see that pressure is mounting. In fact, the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, did set out an aggressive timetable promising to try and pass both a budget resolution setting up a party line spending bill and a bipartisan infrastructure bill in the month of July. In fact, he said this, I quote, "Many people, maybe everybody in our caucus, meaning every Democrat, believes it's a good start, but it doesn't do enough." In other words, he's saying, hey, there's a lot that we need to do, and we need to do it as quickly as possible. This is extremely interesting because the Senate Banking Committee Chair Sherrod Brown, who's a Democrat from Ohio, said he looks at anything with Republican support with skepticism that Mitch McConnell has earned. That's what he said. And he said this: McConnell has repeatedly said he wants Biden to fail. And you know the Republican conference doesn't do anything that McConnell doesn't bless. Brown said, "There's no genuineness about paying for it. We're not going to do a gas tax, and they are not going to ask people that got tax cuts 4 years ago to ante up anything." Basically saying that the Republicans want to protect the rich people and they want us to tax other individuals to pay for infrastructure, and we are not going to do that. It's very clear that Democrats want to pass a large and comprehensive infrastructure package, and Democrats are concerned that Republicans could derail the rest of the Biden agenda that is trying to focus on public education, paid leave policies, and fighting global warming. So the pressure continues to rise on the White House. Here's another headline on your screen, this time from Fox Business. Democratic infighting threatens Biden's bipartisan infrastructure deal push. Some Democrats want President Biden to actually abandon, yes, they want him to actually abandon bipartisan talks. In fact, Bernie Sanders said this: "I wouldn't vote for it. The bottom line is there are needs facing this country. Now is the time to address those needs, and it has to be paid for in a progressive way, given the fact that we have massive income wealth equality in America." Let me know in the comment section below whether you agree or disagree. Here's another comment from Senator Elizabeth Warren. She said this during an interview with CNN last week: "Let's face it, it's time to move forward. The Republicans have held us up long enough." And the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, like I mentioned earlier, said this: "We're pursuing two tracks, one bipartisan and one reconciliation. It may well be that part of the bill that will pass will be bipartisan and part of it through reconciliation. But we're not going to sacrifice the bigness and boldness of the bill." Very interesting set of comments there. And speaking of interesting, here's another headline on your screen, this time from Politico. White House counsels bipartisan patience as House Democrats stir. So what's happening is that the White House has not yet set a deadline for the end of the bipartisan talks, but House Democrats have actually said, hey, we are ready to move forward without the Republicans if a deal cannot be struck by the end of next week. In fact, the House Budget Chair, John Yarmouth, said the administration was giving it a week or 10 days, and then we move along with reconciliation, meaning that they'll use the same process to pass the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan, just like they did with the American Rescue Plan. Now, here's an interesting quote from a White House spokesman, Andrew Bates. He said this. He said that we are certainly going to know where things stand on infrastructure talks generally in the next week to 10 days, and that we can then take stock overall, but not set a deadline or cutoff. So you can start to see the White House saying, hey, wait a minute, let's make this a moving target, so that in case we can work something out, we can give ourselves enough time to work something out. So let's actually see what happens. Senator Mitt Romney from Utah, who's a member of the bipartisan group, said, I quote, he's very optimistic we'll get at least 10 Republicans to support the plan. And we could see a text of this new bipartisan plan as early as sometime this week. So we'll wait and see what happens. But here's an interesting quote from Texas Senator John Cornyn. He basically wants to see more details, and he said this, but it's kind of a moot point unless there's agreement between both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats. If they actually reach an agreement, if it has some chance of getting to the floor, I'll be all over it. So it seems like he's supportive of something that could come to the floor as long as it's bipartisan. So we'll wait and see what happens. Now, the House Democratic Caucus Chairman Hakeem Jeffries said this to reporters. The White House made clear to us in our conversations today that we are going to take a two-track approach. The Senate on the Republican side is either going to choose to work with us or choose the way of Mitch McConnell. If they choose the obstruction pathway, then we are prepared to do whatever is necessary to pass the American Jobs Plan. Clearly, some sort of a showdown is emerging now simply because Democrats want things done a certain way and Republicans want things done a certain way. So you can start to see that the pressure again is mounting on both sides to try and get something done, because each side has their own viewpoint, has their own philosophical and economic agenda as far as the future of infrastructure is concerned. One thing is for sure, the White House is waiting for something to work out, and then they'll swoop in and offer approval or not. Because at the end of the day, whatever passes the House and the Senate has to be signed by the president to become law. So the support of the White House is absolutely critical. Let me know what you think of this back and forth, as many lawmakers are now on vacation as we head into this very crucial negotiating period for the infrastructure package. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I want you to know that me and my team work very hard on this channel to bring you the latest news, so that you know everything that's going on as far as the country, the economy, as well as your money is concerned. This democratic infighting does have the potential to delay, potentially derail the entire infrastructure package, unless the White House finds a way to keep everything together, to keep everyone essentially cohesive as a unit, to keep everyone united, and then strike a deal that is best for the American people. Once again, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.